Hi, I'm Eric Au. I'm an activist, and I'm a author, and also I've done a little theater work, and I've worked, I've actually worked in hair, the Broadway School of Hair. I have actually. I was a dancer.
Oh wow.
Yes. Well, I could show. Well, we can show that later, though. But
Okay.
basically, and I'm here to actually talk about the Hong Kong demonstrations for democracy.
Okay. You're an activist in New York, though?
Yes, I'm an activist in New York. I've done activism for gay rights, LGBTQ rights, and I joined Occupy Wall Street actually in August, though, actually from the very beginning, August 2011.
And so, yeah, you're here to talk about the Hong Kong uprising.
Yes.
You're originally from China,
Guangzhou.
Guangzhou, and when did you come over to New York?
Well, my parents have always had business dealings in New York, though. So they work for a firm. Yada yada. I've actually visited New York even before we officially immigrated here, though. But officially, we immigrated here in 2008. Officially.
But you were born in China.
Guangzhou.
And where is that exactly?
That's in the southern province, so Guangzhou. It's a southern province. It's on the mainland side, but it's actually Hong Kong is actually right across the sea, though. It's right across the sea. You can take like a boat ride there, like an hour.
Would you say it was under the influence sphere of Hong Kong or more of the mainland?
Both. Well, basically, officially, it's still under the people. We are under the People's Republic, but because we're so close to Hong Kong, a lot of their ideals, kind of bled over.
Like you said, there is a Hong Kong uprising, which started last September.
Mm-hmm.
What was the spark for the uprising, the direct cause of it?
The direct cause, basically, what's happening, China is actually trying to exercise more, I would say more, just like overt control. Literally, Hong Kong before it was returned from England, it enjoyed all the luxuries of modern capitalism, modern democracy. Though they had all the modern luxuries and freedoms that Britain had. So after it was returned, back I was believe in 1997 or 1999. I'm not. Don't quote me on that. You can. But after it was returned, though, basically, there was a total shift in policy. It went back to the People's Republic of China, and basically the citizens in Hong Kong, they already grew accustomed to having lived under a liberal, British Empire. Though they grew accustomed to those freedoms, and to go from that to living under a repressive regime, that's kind of the issue here.
Right. So, but that's been going on for a while. But what was the spark? What caused those uprisings now?
I wouldn't say I would say this isn't like a singular spark. This is I would say this was a slow evolution. Like now, what we're seeing, this is like the students are officially holding an uprising, but the call for democracy goes way back. It's it's a very complicated history, but basically, I would say ever since Hong Kong was handed over back to the People's Republic of China, that's where it officially started.
Right, and they also recently tried to implement election reforms.
Yes, they tried, but basically, the students, basically the ones that are supporting the uprising, they want their own elected representative, whereas China, they want to send their representative.
Right. So there's been a general dissatisfaction with what's going on in Hong Kong.
Yes.
And also in the mainland China. So what has been the narrative about the Hong Kong uprisings amongst your fellow Western activists?
In my opinion, it's well-intentioned, but it's absolutely totally misguided and also very ignorant of what is actually happening, though. I mean, in my personal opinion, though, they're getting their information from, obviously very biased sources, though. They're getting their information not from people that, like, for myself, I'm a Chinese citizen from Guangzhou. So I'm actually a Chinese citizen. I speak the language. Like, I consider myself a local. I'm pretty much a boat ride away from Hong Kong. So, and basically, but the way I've been treated, though, basically, at best I've been ignored, and at the very worst I've been cursed out. I've been, quote unquote, occupy shunned, for just pretty much speaking the truth, though, about what life is really like there, as opposed to what they believe is like there.
Right, and what is it that they believe? That what is it? What is their narrative of in their opinion about what's going on in?
Well, they believe basically what they hear about in the news, or on their media sources. They believe that this is that the whole call for democracy in Hong Kong is just totally supported by this country, the United States. They even believe it could be a CIA mission, it could be whatever. It's funded, but basically it's funded by our state, by our own State Department. That's what they believe. They literally believe that that simply, okay. I'll agree with this. I'll agree with this, though. The media here and the government here is definitely putting a positive spin for democracy in Hong Kong, but obviously they're going to do that anywhere. They're going to do that anywhere. But basically, they're like the late comers to the party. They're very late. And I'm gonna say they're like the most minor players ever. I'm not saying that I'm not gonna discount that maybe someone's getting money in Hong Kong from our government. I'm not gonna discount that. Maybe it's true. I don't know that for a fact, but even if that is true, though, that is beside the fact that basically the call for democracy in Hong Kong, and not just Hong Kong, but all of China, that's been going on for decades now, because the human rights abuses in all of China, though, are that repressive. Basically, like, up until the late 1970s, literally, if you said, like, fuck you to the Prime Minister of China, though, literally, that would send you straight to the firing squad. Literally, you would just get shot in the head, and and that'd be it. There would be no trial. You have nothing. You didn't even get a trial. Literally, they would just shoot you, like, literally, right then and there.
So, do you feel like maybe the Western activists don't have a clear idea what life is like underneath?
Well, they believe they do. They're getting their information from obviously media sources that they believe are very credible, or even like from say a very esteemed professor from Yale, Harvard, an Ivy League school, and they believe because that person is accredited, they believe because they're so highly accoladed that they must know what they're talking about. And it's been my opinion, the higher up you are, it's like the more privileged you actually are. Though. The higher up you are, though, like your degree of white privilege is just that much is that much higher, though. And if you really want to know what life in not just Hong Kong, not just China, but anywhere, I think you should actually talk to a local, a native. You should talk to them and ask them, well, what's it really like there? What are the how do you buy food? I mean, what's your living status like? Are you a beggar on the street, or are you just a low-level worker? It's like, I'd say those people, the people that actually live, that are native there, they actually have a better, understand. They have the true understanding, not even a better understanding. They have a true understanding of what actual living conditions are like there.
Do you have an explanation of why they don't want to listen to you?
I'm not gonna go all Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson here, so I'm not. That's just, I think because again, some of these people actually I do consider outside of activism to be very good friends of mine. We actually go drinking, we got shit faced together. So I would rather not go that route, though. So
okay,
yeah.
So in Hong Kong, the movement is called Occupy Central.
Yes.
Does it actually have any connections with Occupy Wall Street?
Direct connections, I would believe no, but again, every Occupy movement in every country in every city is its own independent, collective. Obviously, even just Occupy New York is different from Occupy LA, for example, or Occupy London. So again, Occupy Hong Kong is its own independent entity, but they're drawing it's obviously international solidarity from Arab Spring. So they do draw a broad sense of solidarity and inspiration from the Arab Spring. And they are taking, I guess, they're seeing what happened in Zuccotti, in Oakland, and they're trying to rebrand that into something that works within their local, government culture,
And are they using the same kind of structures that was in Occupy,
yes.
like horizontalism?
Yes. Consensus-based, basically. Consensus-based.
Consensus-based. It's also called an umbrella revolution?
Yes.
Why is that?
Oh, basically, because in China, though, they are huge fans of tear gas. So basically, you grab an umbrella and just, it's a very primitive, but it's a makeshift way of blocking the worst of the tear gas,
Right. So
and they're also wearing face masks as well. So
that seems there's a big police presence,
yes.
and they're very
yes.
hardcore against the protesters.
Yes.
And before I heard the police had somewhat of a good reputation.
No.
They didn't?
No, I don't know. I don't know where you're getting that.
The article that you sent me, actually.
Okay. Well, that. Well, I could clarify that though. Like basically, they've never I think police everywhere are uniformly vilified. But I mean, I would say conditions now have just gone down spiraled, completely out of control. But whereas before, there was a begrudging respect though. Now, just literally, it's just total, absolute, just mayhem.
Mm.
So before, like I said, I would say liken it back to before 2011 here. It's we still had a begrudging respect for the police, and now literally we're just fuck you to the pigs, and and people don't even bat an eye though. So I would say that's on the same level there.
So would you say that extreme police repression is making the movement grow, or is it scaring people?
It's growing. It's definitely growing. Because basically now the shit has literally hit the fan, and it's going everywhere. And it's not just affected, the common man on the street, though. It's not just affected, the people on the low rung on the lower rung of the class spectrum, but people more toward middle class. So I'm saying a lot of this is student led though. This is the demonstrations in Hong Kong. It's not a demonstration. It's a movement for democracy. It's really democracy for Hong Kong. If you really want to if you just want to type that into Google, democracy for Hong Kong. Literally, that's what it is though. It's literally a full on movement for democracy, and and again, it probably was started again because of the people on the lowest rung. But, it's now become sort of like a rallying cry, even people who are middle class, like the students that go to the major colleges in Hong Kong, and they're beginning to see that that the city government, that the People's Republic of China, though, whereas before they knew, but they still had like I said, a big begrudging respect for their leaders. Now I'm fuck you. It's they literally don't give a shit anymore, and that's what it is though.
So you said there's a lot of students. What other kind of protesters are there? Are there any unions? Or there?
From what I don't really know much. You know what? Because I was 13 when I left Hong Kong, so I know nothing about unions or anything about that. I was 13. I'm sorry, Guangzhou. Sorry, I'm from Guangzhou. Sorry, I'm from Guangzhou. I was 13 when I left Guangzhou.
Mm-hmm.
So I was still a kid. That I know nothing about unions or workers in there. So I don't know, but I do know just because I have an uncle there. I have actually 4 cousins that still are over there, and we talk literally on the phone, on Facebook, on Skype, literally every day about what, because they still live over in Guangzhou, and basically they're getting their news about Hong Kong. So I asked them, so how are things like there? And basically they're telling me like there's a common man on the street that they're really like just like pissed off about their local government, and not just the local government, not just the local city government, but the federal the federal government in general. They hate them because basically they're seeing just how much and how long that they've been repressed though.
Right.
It's really sinking in though. It's like I know you remember Tiananmen Square back in 1989. So basically, like what they're seeing in Hong Kong is basically like a total flashback of what happened in 1989 in Tiananmen Square. So, like this shit is real right now. This shit is very real, and whereas before, like I said, they had a fear-based kind of respect for their government. Now, that's out the window. That's totally out the window.
What are their objectives and their direct demands?
Well, okay, do you mean just in Hong Kong, or just Hong Kong?
Both China mainland and
okay. In mainland China, obviously we all know about the terrible track record on human rights abuses there. So basically, how about not sending me to a firing squad? And that's number one. If you speak out against the prime minister or the government in general or any elected official, that is grounds for treason, and you will get shot in the head. You'll have your brains blown out. There are actually a lot of Chinese political prisoners that are languishing in like the worst kind of like prison. Like literally, you're lying in your feces and your urine. They don't bathe you for days and maybe weeks on end. They give you like literally just barely enough food to survive. Barely, maybe like 1/4 of what a healthy person should be eating. A little, just barely, maybe a tiny little few bites of rice, maybe some stale bread, and that's about it.
Do you know people that were in jail?
Me personally, no, but my parents were student activists, so they actually were there during Tiananmen Square.
And they knew people that were killed or abducted, or
they never told me directly, but the way they never told me directly, but I do suspect that.
I see. So yeah, like one of the main critiques for Occupy Wall Street was that there was never clear demands.
Yes.
Does Occupy Central in Hong Kong, do they have a list of demands?
A clear list? No, they don't have a clear list of demands, but they have stated that they want, just like I said, they obviously do not want, the human rights abuses that China is still implementing. Number one. Number two, they want, I guess, greater autonomy. I wouldn't go so far as sovereignty. They don't want to succeed, but they want greater autonomy. They want more, just independence. They want the ability. Well, I believe I believe what it is that they want. They want They want one of their own. They want one of their own. Someone from the lower rung. Some of their own people to represent them as their own representative. Instead of someone that China appoints. Because China wants to send their representative from Beijing to rule over Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, they want someone local. They want someone from their they want from the lower rung to represent them.
So, what is your personal opinion about the revolution?
I'm torn because I'm personally torn because I do support obviously the call for greater human rights. The human rights abuses in China, obviously, that are universally, I think we can agree universally that, they have one of the worst track records on, just, basically you can't say anything you can't say anything that even you can't even make like you know a freaking Facebook post, you know, about you know that speaks out against the government, because literally they can track that. The police can come to your house, they'll jail you immediately. You know, like I said, up until literally the late 70s, you know, and my parents can literally remember this. So that would just literally get you shot. You would just get your brains blown out for that if you spoke out against the government. So obviously that's on just basic bare level. Like that's obviously something that Hong Kong doesn't want. But again, they do want greater autonomy. They do want their own, you know, local, you know, born and raised, you know, on the lower rung, one of their people as a representative.
So you support that, but you said you were torn?
I'm torn because basically they're getting their inspiration for democracy directly from us, from this country, the United States, and also from England, where they used to be a colony from. So I'm torn because they want to follow free enterprise. They want to follow, you know, extreme capitalism. They basically see Times Square and Beverly Hills and Rodeo Drive, and you know, and they think, well, that's what capitalism is going to bring me. That's what they think, and I'm like, okay, yes, direct capitalism will give you that, but you know, like maybe 1 out of 10 of you will be super rich, and then the rest of you, the 9 of you, are going to be like dirt poor, working for that, you know, super rich guy. So,
where do you think it's going?
You know what? I mean, you can call me an optimist, but you know, because this is the age of, you know, Twitter, Facebook, you know. This is, I mean, back in 1989 during Tiananmen Square, we didn't have, you know, no, there was, you know, the internet technically, but no one was really using it. I mean, it's not obviously not the general public, but now we have the internet, you know. So this is a totally different ballgame, you know. It's a totally different ballgame. So, I'm pretty optimistic because basically Hong Kong not only has the support of, you know, its own people, but also from a lot of people from mainland China support them. So you can say that even internally they have a lot of support from within Hong Kong itself, and also the rest of China, but also the rest of the world. People in this country, people in Brazil, Argentina, you know, London, everywhere, Paris, Italy, Spain, wherever you're from in this world, like, you know about, you know, the call for democracy in Hong Kong. You know about that, and because they know about that, this is a totally different ballgame than Tiananmen Square.
Right.
My opinion. I think you know what? Eventually, you know, the People's Republic of China, they'll have to give at least a little bit. They'll have to give at least a little bit because it's like, I think part of that is because, you know, China kind of actually shot itself in the foot by joining the UN, though. Because China became so successful, and now it's literally part of an international, you know, League of Nations, you know, because it's actually shot itself in the foot. Because whereas before it wasn't when it wasn't part of the UN, you know, they could just shoot you in the head, and it's like, I don't give a shit. It's like, think of Iran, you know, they didn't give a shit, you know. I don't need to answer to you, but now they're part of the UN, and they know, you know, they have to mind their P's and Q's, you know, cross their T's, dot their I's. So they can't just, you know, blow your brains out and not have the world be angry at them, and not have the world impose economic sanctions on them, and not have the world not buy their shit, you know? So that's what China is risking if they try to go back to that.
Right. So do you feel like Occupy Wall Street and other movements should support this Hong Kong revolution, and if so, why and how?
Me personally, I don't because I don't speak for Occupy. I am an occupier, but obviously I'm also an anarchist. and I can only speak for myself. I say I think it's a like I said, I'm conflicted. I am conflicted because, like I said, they want everything from this. They want everything they see here, and I don't support everything that I see in this country. I don't support free enterprise. I don't support capitalism, but I do support, obviously, greater human rights. I do support, direct representation. So, again, it's like, what I would love to see, obviously, in not just Hong Kong, but the rest of China, is just, again, greater reform for human rights, greater autonomy, greater, like, local, like, I want people in their local communities, their local cities, their local villages to actually be able to represent themselves and not depend on the actual federal government.
Well, that's what they're trying to do now, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, so should we support it?
Again, I guess, like, I'm supportive of half the things they want, and the other half not so much.
And how, if we want to support it, how could we support it?
I think, like, after the debacle of what we're seeing of the Arab Spring and Syria, and I think activists in this country, they really need to really step back, though. It's like, I know obviously we're activists and we get very impassioned, we get very our emotions run so high, and we naturally get ahead of ourselves. But I think really, especially in this situation, we need to be like, they need to be more listeners than actual participators, especially since they don't even know what they're participating in.
Or imposing their viewpoint.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
So that's your message to them.
Yeah, be more of a listener, an active listener, but be more of a listener.
And then once they have the information, then what?
Well, again, because I'm personally an anarchist, I'm not going to tell anyone what to do with that information.
Okay.
But I think, what, definitely, my one request would just be a listener. Be a listener first, and then make your own decision about how you want to act upon that information. So,
thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you very much.